Good morning. Welcome to the Black Financial Channel. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and today we're going to talk about Tiger Woods. I read a report that Tiger Woods just passed up $700 million not to leave the PGA Tour. I'm going to talk about not just that surprising deal, but also the economic dynamics behind it in terms of how Woods got his wealth, why he's able to walk away from this kind of money, and how economic warfare kind of works. So get comfortable, buckle up your seatbelt. We're going to get started on the Black Financial Channel right now. Welcome. Good morning. Welcome to the Black Financial Channel. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I'm your friendly neighborhood finance professor. On the Black Financial Channel, we talk about Black wealth and Black economics every single day, sometimes as much as 10 times a day. Under one condition, the condition is that we are Black first. Black first means we put our community at the top of our priority list. Black first means that we build wealth for our families. Black first means we educate our damn kids. Black first means we break generational curses. If you are in that category, if you are breaking generational curses, you're the first person in your family to go to college, first millionaire in your family. You're going to be the first person in your family to do everything right in ways that maybe your own parents didn't. Put a B1 in the chat. Put a hashtag B1 if you're looking to make yourself better and make the community better. I see El Haj. How you doing? Clyde Lawrence. My name is Corey. Al Houston, good to see you. Also, shout out the city that you're from. Let me know what cities you're coming from. So good to see everybody. And I want to mention really quickly who's sponsoring today's podcast. I'd like to give a quick shout out to Sherman Ragland from realinvestors.com. There's the URL you can go to. Sherman is a Wharton MBA who is doing real estate challenges to help Black folks, or really anybody, learn how to buy real estate. So if you're interested, you can go to realinvestors.com/challenge-2S. The URL's on the screen. As you guys know, real estate is a really important way to build wealth in this country. In fact, sorry, I'm choking here a little bit. In fact, you don't want to be in this country without owning real estate and stock and maybe starting a business. If you don't do one of those three things, you're going to probably end up struggling or in poverty. It is nearly impossible to work your way to wealth by working a job. It's nearly impossible to save your way to wealth by just saving your money and not investing it. I hate to say it, but if you don't own anything, then chances are somebody owns you. So anyway, thanks thanks to Sherman Ragland for sponsoring today's podcast. And also, if you'd like to get a Dr. Boyce shout out and become a sponsor, feel free to go to drboycefinance.com. The URL is right there on the screen. You can actually shout out your business, shout out your cause, shout out your foundation, shout out your issue, whatever it is you want to do. And you support us, we support you. That's how it works. All right. So give me a yes or no. How many of you, Marcia from Houston? Oh, I'm in Houston right now. I'm at the Power Networking Conference, actually, with George C. Frazier. I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff this week. How many of you heard about Tiger Woods passing up a lot of money, pass up $700 million? Give me a yes or no in the chat if you saw this story anywhere. Sorry, I had to mute myself so I could actually stop choking because I was eating my breakfast and I got something in my windpipe. And so I'm trying to get it out. So I apologize. Barry says, man, that's old news, man. Man, what's wrong with you, Dr. Boyce? That's old news. Well, it ain't old news if I ain't talked about it. It ain't old news unless you heard the Dr. Boyce perspective, okay? Y'all know what it is. Y'all know that you never get this from anywhere else. This is not a podcast that you're going to find anywhere else because, well, why is that? Well, because I have economic insights. I can see things a lot of people can't see. I can break things down in a way a lot of people can't. So I don't care if the story is 100 years old. If I talk about it, I'm going to find an angle that you have not heard anywhere else. I guarantee you that. Give me a yes in the chat if you know what I'm talking about. Literally. Who else does what we do the way we do it up in here? And I'm not being arrogant or nothing, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Like sometimes I'm a little bit of a weirdo, but a weirdo in a good way, and a weirdo in a way that makes us think and see things in a way that we've never seen it before. So here's the deal. Let me give you guys the background. Basically, the big story is that Tiger Woods was offered literally a ridiculous, crazy amount of money. He was offered $700 to $800 million to join this league backed by the Saudis called the LIV League, or I don't know if they call it Live or Live or something, but there's no E, so I just call it LIV. And And they offered him all this money because they're trying to pull all these golfers off the PGA Tour. And some of the golfers are taking the money because the money is just stupid. It's like stupid, crazy money because the Saudi royal family is just funky, stinking rich. I think they're worth over $1 trillion or something ridiculous like that. So they just kind of do crazy things like that. They sort of offer insane amounts of money to make long-term investments. I think, in fact, they're doing some project that actually sounded pretty exciting if they can get it done. I don't think they can get it done. They were talking about building twin skyscrapers that are in the desert that are 75 miles long or something, like something crazy. I was like, whoa, this is nuts. So they're offering these golfers all this money to join this LIV league. And so the question would be, well, why wouldn't Tiger Woods and all the other golfers just take the money? It's $700-800 million. Tiger's a billionaire. I mean, 800 million, that's almost $1 billion just to do one thing. Well, there's a couple reasons why he's not going to take it. And I don't know Tiger. I don't know him personally. So I'm going to just speculate a little bit based on what I see. Number one, the Saudi royal family has a bad reputation. They've been, they're kind of seen internationally as this sort of gangster group. A lot of people have linked the Saudi royal family to the death of a journalist by the name of Jamal Khashoggi, who apparently, I guess, went into the Turkish embassy, and some of the goons for one of the princes was waiting for him, and they killed him right there inside the embassy. And this is pretty much confirmed and declared. Give me one second. Why is somebody calling me right now? Hold on for a second. Let me hang this up. Sorry, my phone's ringing. Don't they know I'm doing my podcast right now? They can't be calling me right now. But anyway, so here's the deal. So this whole situation with Jamal Khashoggi took place, and a lot of people have pretty much economically isolated the royal family, kind of what they're doing with the Russians right now. Vladimir Putin also runs kind of a gangster sort of government. In fact, the Russians, they've been gangsters since the Cold War, and the end of the Cold War led them to be a country that's kind of run by people that are not necessarily the most ethical out there. Now, let's just be clear, though. What's interesting to me is that the biggest gangsters on the global stage in some cases is the U.S. government. I mean, you've seen the U.S. government go in there and do some crazy stuff, like, going across the world and dropping bombs on daycare centers and hospitals and stuff like that. So it's not like we're innocent or we're sweet. I think that the problem with the royal family is they kind of got caught, right? So since they got caught, everybody's saying, well, we wouldn't do anything like that. By God, we wouldn't do anything like that. So long story short, people are in this dilemma. A lot of celebrities are in this dilemma. The Saudi royal family pays you insane amounts of money to do ridiculous things, like either leave the PGA Tour or come over there and have sex with them, or some black entertainer is getting paid insane amounts of, $10 million for one performance. But then they're getting hit with these ethical challenges to say, how could you take money from those people? And I kind of get that. It makes sense. And this was really intriguing to me because it speaks to something that I've talked to you guys about before, which is the art of economic warfare. You see, economics and money, the reason it's important for Black people to get our money right and get our money tight and our financial literacy straight is because economic warfare is declared on you every single day. And sometimes it's very subtle. Sometimes it comes in the form of a more powerful entity just offering you flowers to get you on board with whatever they want to do. Economic warfare is declared on people like me all the time, where I get invited to stuff, I get offered lots of money, where they know that if I sign on to the deal, then they can mute me or they can change my political position, etc. That's why when I started my business, the most important thing in the world was for me to find a way to be economically independent so that I wouldn't have to sell myself to the highest bidder. A lot of us grow up looking for jobs, and we end up growing up believing that the goal is to sell yourself to the highest bidder. So if you graduate from college and there's one company that wants you to shovel crap all day and they pay you 80 grand a year, somebody's going to say, well, why wouldn't you take 80 grand a year? And you say, well, because I'm shoveling crap. And they say, well, it doesn't matter because you're getting $80,000 a year. That's a lot of money. As opposed to doing more meaningful work, they might pay you only $40,000 a year, right? But if you're economically strong, and this is where I get back to Tiger Woods, then you can choose to prioritize your values above the money, right? Your personal values can take precedence over the economic value of what's being put in front of you. This even goes down to your daughters. One of the things I talk to my girls about is, number one, I'm going to leave you an inheritance, or I'm going to give you some wealth. Your dad, I'm their bonus dad. So their biological father is going to give them some wealth because we are responsible, strong black men. I know they don't put black men like us on TV. We'd probably be more famous if we had 8 babies, mamas, and smoked weed all day. But no, there's millions of black men out there. Shout out to all of y'all who are taking care of your little girls, who are loving a black woman, who are raising a black family, who are doing your absolute best. And I want to give a shout out to all of y'all, because y'all gonna get all the respect on this channel. We don't respect losers up in here, or you better straighten up if you're gonna walk in this space. But anyway, I tell my girls all the time, I'm gonna give you some wealth, and also I'm gonna teach you how to make wealth so that you are prepared for economic warfare, because men will declare economic war on you in order to control your body. Right? We talk about all this, my body, my choice. Well, there are some women, unfortunately, in some cases, who end up in the uncomfortable position of only getting economic opportunities if they're willing to give up their body, right? But a woman who is confident, who is intelligent, who has some assets in her bank account, who knows how to make her own bread, does not have to trade sex for money. So all this thing with Tiger, y'all know me, I always bring it back to you because you're more important than Tiger Woods, is that this is economic warfare. So the Saudi government's basically saying, look, y'all might not like us, y'all might be trying to play this holier than thou ethical shit, but how about this? We're going to test your gangster. We're going to test your gangster. How about we offer you $100 million? Oh, that's not enough? Okay, let's make it $200 million. There ain't nothing but a thing. Oh, that's not enough? Oh, we got oil money. So how about we double that to $400 million? And then you start getting shaky, like, there's a lot of money. I don't know. I don't know if I could do that. See, and the problem is that is that's the part of you that doesn't maybe quite know who you are. That's the part of you that unfortunately was trained to believe somebody told you that you're always supposed to sell yourself to the highest bidder. So there was a time where white folks used to sell black people back and forth. Now we sell ourselves. Most black people, you go to BET. When I challenged BET, and I said to some of the people at BET, I said, how can you justify some of the nonsense that y'all put on TV? You're destroying a whole generation of young people, right? And you know what the guy said? He said, well, the money's good, doc, and the ad revenue's good, doc. Is that it? Is that your only retort? That's the only thing you can say, is that the money's good. Like, the money justifies everything. And I remember, I told you guys, I'm an expert on money. I value money. Money's powerful. Money's important. But the other point that I need to make to you is that if money is your only motivation for doing anything in your life, then you're not going to be happy. You're going to end up as a slave. It's like being a financial crackhead. Crackheads will do anything to get the crack. If you have crack, then you know that they will show up and do anything you ask them to do, no matter how degrading or destructive or deliberately harmful to other people. And when you get to that mindset, when you become a financial crackhead, then you have no power. Money is supposed to liberate you. Money does not enslave you if you are intelligent. But I've seen so many millionaires who are enslaved by money. When people walk around, money over everything, dog, money over hoes, money over everything, I'll kill for money. Well, that means either you ain't got no money or you don't know who the hell you are, because there should be a point where you have enough money where you say, now I ain't got to kill over money because I have enough money. Now I'm not going to lose friends over money because I'm financially secure. No, I'm not going to degrade myself for no dollar bills because I got plenty of dollar bills in the bank and my dollar bills are out getting friends because my money's working for me. Do you understand what I'm saying? Give me a yes in the chat if you get what I'm saying. Just everybody type a yes. Let me know that I'm not talking crazy or weird or over anybody's head or anything. I don't mean to do that. But anyway, do me a favor. Hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Share, subscribe. And I want to give another shout out to another sponsor of this podcast, mobileemergencyhousing.com. Mobile emergency housing. That's a really interesting business where basically it looks to me like what they do. And it looks like Joseph James is the person who asked for the shout out. And he says, Mobile Emergency Housing Corporation provides emergency disaster housing for insured homeowners. who are displaced by a house fire or natural disaster. If you are a homeowner that's been displaced by a house fire or any other natural disaster, call 888-201-7999. That's 888-201-7999. Or you can email them at help@mobileemergencyhousing.com. They're a certified minority-owned company. So we say black-owned around here. We don't say minority. But either way, though, I think that's valuable, right? Because my auntie last month, literally, or maybe it wasn't last, maybe it was 2-3 months ago, their house burned down. And when their house burned down, they needed mobile emergency housing. They needed a place to go. And they ended up finding a place to live. And I remember how tough it was for them. It's really interesting. On both sides of my family, I had 2 uncles on each side that had their house burned down in the last 6 months. Ain't that correct? That's kind of weird, right? But anyway, so mobileemergencyhousing.com, and thank you for sponsoring the podcast. If you'd like to get a Dr. Boy shout out on the podcast, I can shout out your platform, your YouTube channel, your business, whatever the case may be. Feel free to go to drboysfinance.com. You support the platform, we'll support you. I can get people to go take a look at what you have. And I hope everybody in here will go and support the businesses that are presented here. All right. So we're talking about Tiger Woods being offered $700 to $800 million in order to leave the PGA Tour to join the LIV Tour. Now, Tiger is very intriguing to me. Tiger was on my short list of people that I wanted to actually meet, that I really would love to talk to. And the reason I like Tiger is not because we agree politically. We don't. I'm not going to marry a blonde-haired, blue-eyed lady. Like, I'm not, So Tiger is a little different from me in that regard, but I don't care about what your politics are. I like to, if I can learn from you, I'm going to learn from you. And what I like about Tiger is that Tiger, back in the day when his father Earl was around, this is why strong black fathers matter. Stop believing that they don't matter. When his father was around, Tiger was laser focused. If anybody remember that, how good Tiger was when his daddy Earl was here. Tiger, the year 2000 stands out in my mind because that was when Tiger was literally the most unstoppable golfer in the last 300 years. I mean, literally in history ever. There was no golfer that was doing what Tiger did. And I really admired just that tenacity, that focus, that mental toughness. His father was a military guy. And I get that. I understand that because my father was a Vietnam veteran. He's a police officer. So he always taught me about mental toughness. Like, you focus. Whatever it is you want to do, you got to focus. With the haters, the nonsense, the BS, the rumors, focus. If you can't stay focused, if you can't be mentally tough, then you're not going to get what you want in this world, because don't nobody love you. You're a black man. They're going to fight you every step of the way. You must be ready for that. I like that. I feel like, unfortunately, our society, we soften our men. We tell them, oh, everybody's going to give you cupcakes and hugs and little sprinkles on a birthday cake every day. And then when you don't get that, you're so devastated that you just give up and you go home and you sit on your couch and smoke weed all day. And I'm not a fan of that. I believe you got to fight. Even if you're losing, you should be a fighter. And so Tiger's father taught him how to be a fighter. Shout out to Earl Woods. Shout out to all the strong black fathers. They're always going to get bashed in the media. Black masculinity in any form is typically going to get bashed in media because they want black men to either be children, they want them to be weak, or they want them to be, they want them to be trying to sleep with another dude. I know, no disrespect if you're in that category. We love everybody here, but those 3 categories of men are not a threat. A black man, who's getting with other dudes is not really so much of a threat to white supremacy, because he ain't gonna take your woman. He might take your man. He ain't gonna take your woman. A black man who is who's goofy and ignorant is not a threat. That's why they keep you goofy and ignorant. A black man who's telling jokes, you're not a king. You're a court jester. The jester cannot take the place of the king. A man who is acting like a child. On the internet, you have a lot of 45-year-old teenagers out here. I'm talking about guys in their 40s. It's real weird, like got bags under your eyes and wrinkles on your face, but yet you're talking about like you're acting like a 17-year-old. Like, I met a guy like that. I'm not gonna mention his name. He's a celebrity, but and I just remember sitting there looking at him, and he was talking to a bunch of grown-ass men. I was standing there with some guys that are very successful. Everybody in this circle was a millionaire. These were all and everybody was a man. And we're all sitting there, and this guy walks up, and he's famous. So I guess that just makes everything okay. And he literally just starts acting like a complete buffoon. And everybody's looking at him like, is this how you became successful? By being a joke? Like we just didn't respect it. It was kind of hilarious to us. So ultimately, when a man presents himself that way, either as very immature, very weak, or feminine, you're not a threat to white supremacy. No, everyone's laughing at you, and they're going to pay you to keep laughing at you. And because they're paying you, you think you're successful. You say, "Look how successful I am. I told jokes to white people. They pay me money." No, they're paying you money because you know your place. You know your place. Your place is not among the kings. Your place is among the jokers. So don't be a joker. Unless you are, if that's who you naturally are, then fine. I'm not going to hate you for it. But some of y'all are built to be leaders. Some of you are built to be to own things, to control things, and to be bosses. And I want you to own that part of yourself if that's who you are too. If you're an intellectual leader, be an intellectual leader, and don't be afraid of nobody who tells you that there's something wrong with that. We have a lot of anti-intellectualism in our community where smart people get made fun of, and they love the ignorant buffoon. Why would you love ignorance over intelligence and then expect to be able to compete in a racist society that wants to see you and your children dead? You can't compete. If you're elevating ignorance over buffoonery, elevating ignorance over intelligence, you will not win. You will always lose. You will always be a slave. So don't do that. So shout out to Earl Woods. Shout out to Venus and Serena's daddy. Say his name in the chat. I'm sorry. Will Smith played him in the movie. Richard. Thank you. Richard Williams. A shout out to Michael Jackson's father, Joe. Don't get me wrong. Joe was not a perfect man. I'm sure he wasn't, but I'm sure nobody's perfect. I'm sure his wife wasn't perfect. I'm sure nobody's perfect, right? But Joe Jackson created one of the greatest musical groups of all time because he kept his kids on code. Shout out to Victory Boyd's father. Victory Boyd's father does that with their singing group. So long story short, that this strength, this mental toughness is very important in order for you to combat racism and all the things that are designed to oppress you. You can't overcome those things without being ready to fight. Okay. Now do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. We're talking about Tiger Woods and how he passed up $700 to $800 million to leave the PGA Tour, and why this is significant for you, because it really shows how economic warfare works and how you are able to resist economic warfare by being economically secure. Or engaging in what I call economic self-defense. And by the way, we have financial flashcards for children that are back in stock. We have a discount on the flashcards if you buy them in a bundle pack. We have two different types of flashcards: financial flashcards for stocks and investing, stuff like that, and entrepreneurship flashcards to show your child how to become a business owner. So if you'd like to take advantage of that discount, feel free to go to financialflashcards.com. The URL's on the screen. So let's talk about Tiger Woods and his net worth right now. So Tiger Woods was offered this $700 to $800 million from the Saudi government to join this LIV league and leave the PGA Tour. Tiger said no. He's been very critical, not just of what they're trying to do, but also critical of other golfers who've taken the deal. And this is really interesting. And I suspect that the reason Tiger is being critical is because he's a patriot. He's really patriotic. He used to train with Navy SEALs and stuff like that. His dad was in the military. And shout out to everybody that served. Thank you for your service. And so Tiger has sort of, from an ethical standpoint, been saying that this is not appropriate. This is not cool. But then also what's interesting is I'm not sure, but I wonder if there's like some stipulation in Tiger's contracts that would, kind of just go haywire if he were to leave the PGA Tour. Remember, Tiger makes most of his money. He does not make his money playing golf. This is another business lesson. Tiger does not make most of his money playing golf. Where does Tiger Woods make most of his money? If you were to guess, somebody put, it's one word. It starts with an E. Somebody put that word in there that represents how Tiger Woods makes 90% of his money. What's the word? Oh, there we go. The word is endorsements. Tiger has endorsements with, I believe it's like Nike and Gatorade and Gillette and all these other companies. And what's interesting about these endorsements, that's crazy to me, is Tiger Woods' brand kind of fell apart around 2009. 2009, to me, is the line of demarcation where Tiger Woods went from being the golden boy to being the golden ass. That Tiger went from, I'm not saying that he, did the thing right or wrong or whatever. You could judge what you want. Things happen in marriages and it's life. But, you know, if you remember before 2009, Tiger Woods not only was seen in a wonderfully positive way, he was a walking corporation. You know, he was in that category of where Bill Cosby used to be before his downfall. Even O.J. Simpson was headed in that direction before he allegedly killed his wife. Um, and there's a few other examples of that. But that's a dangerous place for your brand to be. When you are a human being, as flawed as human beings can be, but you're able to do deals with big corporations like Disney and McDonald's and Nike because you're like corporation to corporation because your brand is so big, it really puts you in a space where your margin of error is extremely thin. And with Tiger, you know, what was interestingly revealed was that this man has a lot of issues. You know, he has a lot of issues. And who knows, maybe it came from growing up with a tough father who pushed him to be the best golfer in the history of the world. I'm sure he missed out on some of his childhood because of that. And you know, there's a price to pay for that. But then again, I don't know anybody who's the best in the world at anything who didn't have to go through tremendous pain to get there. I just don't. I don't know anybody ever who has been the best in the world at anything. You know, whether you became president of the United States or you became a billionaire or you became the best basketball player on the planet, all those people, you know, eventually need therapy. You have to. I mean, you have to be obsessed because it's very hard. It's hard enough to even be in the top 1%. But even if you're in the top 1% of something, there's still hundreds of other people up there with you. To be number one, that's insane. You're literally in outer space. So Tiger appeared to have some issues with some drugs and stuff where he'd get caught driving under the influence. They were covering some of that stuff up and then eventually started just really spilling out after the incident with his wife. And then he had this weird thing with porn stars, which I think is just kind of sad and kind of crazy and very dangerous. You know, he was sleeping with these all these porn stars and he liked all these white women and whatever. And it just was weird. So it comes out. And now what was interesting to me, just on a side note with that, is I didn't understand why Tiger Woods' wife, I didn't understand why Tiger was apologizing necessarily publicly because his wife smacked him in the face with a golf club. You know, now I get it. She was hurt. She was mad because he cheated and all this other stuff. But to me, you know, when you physically assault somebody with a golf club, you should go to jail for that. You know, I think she got the white woman treatment for that. You know, when you make a white woman cry, then it's always got to be your fault no matter what she does to you. And I get it. I think it's wrong that Tiger cheated. It's wrong to do whatever. But remember, we live in this world where you constantly hear people saying, my body, my choice, my body, my choice. Well, it was his body. He chose to go sleep with those porn stars or whatever he chose to do. And at the end of the day, it wouldn't matter. I think a man's wife, if my wife could cheat on me with 50 guys, but if I decide, oh, I'm mad at you, so I'm going to whack you in the face with a golf club, well, then suddenly I become the bad guy. I become the criminal, not her. I can't say, well, you know, she really hurt my feelings and her cheating on me was, but she slept with other people. And no, you can't do that. Right. So I thought that whole Tiger Woods thing was definitely an example of racial bias, white supremacy. But hey, you know, he went that route. You know, he married Becky and she got a couple $100 million out of the deal. You know, again, massive generational wealth that's going to go, you know, to whoever her new husband is. And that's what it is. So with Tiger, once that incident took place, his brand really took a major hit. He went from being the golden boy to being something completely different. He wasn't winning golf tournaments anymore. Those of us who follow golf noticed a major. Did anybody else notice that there was a major decline in his performance ability? It's like that was the moment that Tiger got old. That was the minute he became an old man. Now you see him, he's got, you know, again, the big bags under his eyes, and he's not looking like he did the sprightly young guy he was in the year 2000. But then again, none of us are as young as we were in the year 2000. So here's what's fascinating to me, though. Despite the fact that Tiger's brand has fallen straight to shit, the man still makes more money than MC Hammer in his heyday. Like the man makes more money than Jesus, Dan. I mean, I'm sitting here and I got to give major props. Pay attention now. Tiger Woods with his behavior, he's kind of like almost in the same neighborhood, I dare I say, of a Bill Cosby or an R. Kelly. Not that these three guys are the same. All their situations were very different. There was nuances that separate all of them, right? Like I can understand why Cosby should be out of jail. R. Kelly, I don't want him in my neighborhood. I don't want him around my girls, right? But I think he needs psychiatric help. I think all of them have this weird thing with sex, and I think that that's really the core issue, right? They need the therapist and all that stuff, and maybe the medication. But but you really process this, right? So Bill Cosby, had a lot of crazy run-ins with white women back in the 70s and 60s and maybe the 80s. And now the allegations come out. He loses two, three, four, $500 million. His brand is dead. R. Kelly, crazy stuff going on with young girls and videotapes and peeing on people and all this stuff. A few years later, R. Kelly, his brand is shit. He's in prison. He's probably going broke right now. Tiger Woods, sleeping with dozens of porn stars, right? Like, getting arrested for DWIs and stuff like that. Now, or DUIs. Now, again, this is not the same caliber, right? It's not his. I would say his indiscretions were not as bad as a Cosby or an R. Kelly, but it's still in that same space of Black man engaged in deviant behavior that's borderline illegal, even though the DUIs are, but maybe not the sex stuff. But still, his brand went to crap. So how is it that years later, Cosby ain't really making no money like that? R. Kelly's not making any money hardly. He's probably deep in debt. But Tiger Woods is a billionaire, and he's still making over $100 million a year. And the Saudi royal family just offered him $700 to $800 million to join their league, and he turned down the money because he's got it like that. R. Kelly wouldn't turn down $700 $800 million. Bill Cosby couldn't turn down $800 million. Here's my theory. My theory is this: Tiger Woods had the smartest negotiators on the planet that worked out his deals with Nike, Gatorade, and Gillette. I believe that they put stuff in his contract that allowed them to take advantage of the fact that when Tiger was smoking hot at the top of the game, that they were going to be locked in for at least a decade or more, or maybe even for life. I don't know the terms of these deals. I don't know what the details are. But seriously, give me a yes or no. How many of you would really want to sponsor Tiger Woods, especially when he was at his low point? I mean, would any of you, like, he wasn't a sponsorable athlete in my view. And now he's got a big name, but he doesn't even win tournaments anymore. I wouldn't sponsor Tiger Woods now. I wouldn't sign a $300 million deal with him. Right. But Tiger Woods locked in so many great things when he was on top of his game that this protected him when he wasn't on top of his game. I think that's brilliant. I like that a lot. Why do I like that a lot? Because he followed an important investment principle I've talked to you guys about before, that when times are good, you got to always prepare for when times are going to be bad. Because when the sunshine is out, winter is coming. Winter is always coming, just like Game of Thrones. Winter is coming. And what I have seen in so many cases is people that are in the sunshine, in the financial light, they're doing extremely well. They're balling out of control. And they think it's never going to end. They think that there's always going to be another record deal. There's always going to be another endorsement. There's always going to be another big payday. There's always going to be another multi-year, max contract in the NBA, right? They think that there's always more money coming, and they're not preparing for when times are going to get dark. So I think it's cool. I love that. I think that's so smart. I love the fact that he diversified his assets. I went down and I visited the Nike campus. Larry Miller invited me there, and I love Larry Miller. Larry Miller was the former CEO of the Jordan brand. He took Michael Jordan's brand from $300-400 million a year to $3 billion a year. The man is brilliant. He's a good brother. He's actually going to join us at the All Black National Convention this year. So by the way, go to boycewatkins.com if you'd like to join us at the convention. It's October 28th through the 30th in Charlotte, North Carolina. So Larry Miller is going to be there. He and I are going to do kind of like a fireside chat kind of thing. But anyway, I went down to the Nike campus, and my wife and I were just walking around this beautiful campus, and we're seeing all these different buildings and things that were kind of named after different athletes. Like they'd be like, oh, that's the John McEnroe building, and that's the Michael Jordan building, and then and then we got to Tiger Woods, and there was the Tiger Woods Conference Center. And it was this massive conference center named after Tiger Woods. So he's kind of immortalized in that way because he was so great. Now, here was another crazy part that I thought was awesome. Was in the back, there was this big, gigantic black building that was bigger than all the other buildings. Like it was like 3 times taller than any building we were standing around. And I said, what building is that? And they said, oh, that's going to be the Serena Williams building. So Serena, she got her GOAT status on the Nike campus too. And so Tiger really, in my view, did a good job of insulating himself from the fallout that occurred after 2009 when the whole situation fell apart with his wife. I didn't like it. I didn't like his behavior. I think that any married man who's out here sleeping unprotected with porn stars, you're putting your wife in danger like that. I just don't get it. Kobe, remember what Kobe did? Kobe was sleeping with that lady and he'd met her, he'd known her 45 minutes or something. So I didn't think there was enough evidence to accuse Kobe of assault, but I did think there was enough evidence to accuse him of irresponsibility. Again, I'm not judging what people do with their bodies, but what I am saying is, at least you can slip a condom on, can't you? Like, I don't, that part I don't understand. That part kind of confused me, to be honest with you, not to disrespect the dead. And I know people put certain athletes and entertainers on a pedestal and they can do no wrong, but I'm sorry, you can't do that, man. Like that doesn't make any sense. But anyway, let me keep going. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. And I want to give a quick shout out to one of the sponsors for today's podcast, realinvestors.com. They are doing a real estate investment challenge. The brother, his last name is Ragland. Sherman Ragland is doing a real estate challenge, and he's apparently working with a lot of our people to teach them how to invest. And so if you want to do his real estate challenge and learn more about real estate investing, visit realinvestors.com/challenge.2s. And also, if you'd like to sponsor a shout out on the channel, you support us, we'll support you, we'll support your business, support your platform, whatever it is. Just go to drboysfinance.com. If you got a YouTube channel, you want me to blow it up, I'll be happy to do that for you. The URL's on the screen. Okay, so let's quickly recap. So Tiger Woods has offered $700 to $800 million from the Saudi royal family to come in and play in their league and to lead the PGA Tour. He turns that down. The reason he can turn it down is because he's economically secure. Tiger's had an interesting legacy where, he had the whole thing with his wife. He's had issues with addictions and things like that. But at the same time, he's had a tremendous amount of focus when it comes to not just winning golf tournaments when he was younger, but also when it comes to just sort of managing his life and managing his money. I think he's done a reasonably good job of doing that and a reasonably good job at crisis management. Now, one of the things that stood out to me is that Tiger Woods would not be able to walk away from this amount of money if he was not financially secure and clear about what his belief systems are. He has enough. So it's two things. One, he has principles. Two, he has the financial backing of his principles to allow him to do whatever. So a lot of times where you are financially isn't just a matter of being able to stand up to tyranny or oppression or somebody forcing your hand. Being able to stand up to a bully isn't just about how brave you are. It's also about how brave you can be in that situation. So if I'm dealing with a bully and I know I got my boys backing me up, then I can stand up and talk a lot more smack than I can if I'm fighting the bully all by myself or trying to take on something that's too big for me to handle. So a lot of Black folks get into situations where we know what we believe. We have our principles. Maybe you believe Black Lives Matter. Maybe you are very inspired by pro-choice, pro-life. Maybe you're inspired by other forms of racism, reparations, or some other issue. And I think that's great. But remember this. When you are out here protesting in the street and screaming Black Lives Matter and standing up to the white man and all this other stuff, it's very difficult to do that when you ain't got no money. I've seen so many people who will run around all day long. They'll disavow capitalism. They'll disavow the economic system, this capitalist economic system. Blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, I get that. I understand capitalism. Capitalism has a lot of issues. But then the problem is I'll look at them and I'll say, but you're the ultimate capitalist. And they'll say, well, what are you talking about? I say, well, you're a capitalist. You're more capitalist than I am. I'm not capitalist. You are, though, because the reason I know you are is because after you finish protesting and talking your socialism shit all weekend long, you're going to stop. You're going to put down your picket sign on Monday and go work for a capitalist because you need your job and you need the money that your boss is paying you. So all this stuff that you're talking about is pretty much theory. You're like the wife. You ever see a wife or a girlfriend get mad at her boyfriend because he's disrespecting her and she does a lot of yapping and whatever. He don't even listen because he knows she ain't really going nowhere. Because she's not prepared to leave emotionally or financially or spiritually or otherwise. or maybe she's just, like hypnotized by the penis or something, right? Like he just kind of knows, like, yeah, you just talking. You ain't gonna do nothing. I think that's how they look at black folks. I think that's how they look at us. I think they look at us when we're protesting and out in the street screaming, Black Lives Matter. They're like, yeah. Okay, yeah, Black Lives Matter. All right, well, come on, bring your black ass to work on Monday. We got more bales of hay to bail up. We got more packages to ship in Amazon because you don't have the economic power to even stand up for your principles. Principles mean nothing without power. It's very difficult in a capitalist society to have things like freedom of speech and expression and all these other things where you don't have the economic support for the things that you believe in. I can't stand up to you and simultaneously, I can't stand up to you and hold my fist up in the left hand and have my hand out with the right hand. Like Black Lives Matter. Can I get some money, boss? Black Lives Matter. Can I get some money, boss? I need some money, boss. I need jobs, boss. That don't work. That don't work. So if you want my recommendation, I've said it before, I'll say it quickly again. Black people should make economic intelligence and economic strength the number one priority for our community. You can never have freedom in America if you do not have your economics backing you up. If you're not training your children on economics and investing for your children, like we talk about all the time with the $5 a day investing plan. I've been mentioning it for years. The ebook is free. You can buy a copy on Amazon if you want, but you don't have to buy it. You can get it for free. BoyceWatkins.com. Just go to my website. I explain exactly how you can put your child in a position where they never have to beg anybody for anything. Because here's the thing. In America, economic warfare happens all the time. In America, they don't just do it around. They don't do economic warfare just around the world in terms of telling. They'll offer a government a bunch of money so that they can change the politics of that government. Like they'll go to some African country and they'll say, we'll give you $1 billion, but you got to put the gay flag on your capital, right? Like we'll do that. Right? That's what our country does. Well, remember the things that they do around the world, they also do right here at home. They do it to you. So your inability to create jobs for your own people, your inability to make it a priority to own assets, your lack of desire to prepare your children for economic warfare is exactly what makes you vulnerable to the world. If you don't have any assets, if you're not in a position of economic strength, then you cannot stand up to the economic bully. So the question is, are you preparing your kids for this fight? If you're not preparing your kids for this fight, I feel very sorry for you. I would almost be tempted to accuse you of child abuse because Dr. Claude Anderson said that it is child abuse to not prepare your kids for the future and then send them across town to their arch rival and enemy to beg that enemy for a job. Why would you send your child across town to someone who does not like them just so they can get on their knees and grovel and lick somebody's boots in order to get a job when you have plenty of time to prepare them for the future? So the reason the $5 a day investment plan is so important, again, the book is free. It's at BoyceWatkins.com. The reason that's very important is because if you do that when the child is young, and if you're consistent by putting aside that $5 a day, tithing for your future, this is the church I want you to tithe to, not to me, tied to your future, tied to your legacy, tied to your damn kids. You do that consistently, then in 25 years, your child has a couple $100,000 in liquid assets. They ain't got to go beg nobody for nothing. They suddenly gain an economic superpower. They can make any move that they want. They can do whatever they want. They become an economic god. They can manifest whatever reality they want. They want to start a business and they need 10 grand. Though they got 250 grand in their investment portfolio, they can grab 10 grand and not even miss a beat. And it's so ultimately what I liked about what I saw with Tiger and Tiger turning down this 700 to 800 million. And the reason I'm doing my podcast on Tiger Woods today is not because I agree with his politics. I don't care what his politics are. I don't care that he's married to a blonde haired, blue eyed white woman. It don't matter to me as long as I ain't got to do it. I mean, I don't care. That's fine. What I'm talking about is that Tiger's daddy, Earl, I give the shout out to the daddy, prepared him for economic warfare. So that's why Tiger's able to walk around and say, I'm not taking your money and what you're doing is wrong. If Tiger were broke, if he had blown all his money, if he was on his last legs, if he had 18 babies' mamas he had to feed, guess what? Tiger would be on his knees, ready to lick the back of the ankles of any member of the Saudi royal family that was willing to write a check to bail him out of his situation. Too many of us put ourselves in situations where we need to be bailed out. And when you need to be bailed out, you'll take the bail money from anybody. You're as desperate as poor Tupac was when he was in jail, and Suge Knight was the only guy that would show up and write a check for him. And he brought him into Death Row Records, which ultimately, I believe, got him killed. So as much as Death Row Records was the coolest thing in the world, when I look back on it, it wasn't cool because Death Row Records was literally like Death Row. That's why the people who survived were Snoop and Dre, who left Death Row, and the ones who died were Tupac and Suge Knight. Might as well be dead because the man's going to be in prison for a very long time and ruined everything that he had. So I'm just telling you guys, if you don't prepare economically or teach your children to do the same, then what's going to happen is they're going to get into a situation where the money's going to come from the devil, and they're going to have to make a deal with the devil in order to get out of whatever situation that they're in. Do not make deals with the devil. You can only stand up to the devil if you've got some economic security. That's what I'm really seeing here. That's why I felt the need to talk about Tiger Woods today. And I hope he wins another golf tournament because I love it when he wins. I really do. Part of me still roots for the guy. You know, I don't know much about him. I don't care. But I think golf wise, you know, this man gave me some inspirational moments. I'm very impressed by what he was able to do as an athlete in his younger days. All right. So anyway, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Quick reminder, don't forget All Black National Convention happens in Charlotte, North Carolina, October 28th through the 30th. We're covering everything, panels and speakers on everything from crypto to relationships to investing to politics. My wife is doing her speed dating again this year, which was really successful. We actually had some marriages and hookups out of that. Good hookups, not no, you know, whatever, right? And also Larry Miller, the former CEO of the Jordan brand, is going to be there. Billionaire Mike Roberts is coming through. So we're going to have high-profile, heavy-duty Black folks there. We're also going to have a lot of our people, grassroots and otherwise. The crypto club will be meeting there. The stock market investing club will be meeting there. Stock options group will be meeting there. So we're going to be sort of doing all of that. It's a big family reunion. So if you're interested, bring your kids. We have a whole children's educational track that we're going to offer to the children. And so you can go to boycewatkins.com and look for the All Black National Convention. And also, don't forget this podcast. You can find it on Spotify. Just open up your Spotify, look for the Dr. Boyce Breakdown. If you haven't done that yet, so that way you can listen while you're doing whatever else you're doing. And I want to also say thank you to our sponsors from mobileemergencyhousing.com. If you are looking for a way to find some emergency housing in case something happens to your crib, something gets burned down or something unfortunate occurs, well, then Mobile Emergency Housing can help you. The brother's name is James Joseph. And so his phone number is 888-201-7999. That's 888-201-7999. If you'd like to sponsor a Dr. Boyce shout out, you support us, we support you. Feel free to go to drboycefinance.com. I will support your business or your platform or whatever the case may be. I cannot support things like multi-level marketing, not because I think that you're bad, but just because my platform's too big and I don't want to take responsibility if the people end up in something that's not good for them financially. Okay. So anyway, have a good day, everybody. God bless you. Thank you for listening. And I will be back a little bit later. Have a good day. Peace.